Coup d'etat, the artifice of law, a deconstruction of legal fictions. They howl, from towers of glass and screens of fleeting light, of an insurrectionist invasion. Their voices, amplified by wires and algorithms, paint the migrant, the gente de color, as the unnamed, unnationed threat. They claim the high ground of legality, a law they say is immutable, transcendent, born of pure reason. But look closely, Hermanx, look past the shimmering veil of their official pronouncements. Their law, sous lei, is a performance, a species of legal invention that, like the ancient fictions, conceals, or affects to conceal, the fact that a rule of law has undergone alteration, its letter remaining unchanged, its operation being modified. They speak of order and stability, but their very words are a deliberate distortion of reality, a strategic redescription of facts to justify an outcome not always already known. This is not the tentative cognition that enables growth and justice, but a pernicious legal fiction that inflicts damage and facilitates theft, the theft of dignity, of life, of a futuro. Kelsen, the meticulous cartographer of norms, might whisper from his own volley of legal theory that logic is powerless in the normative realm. Their supposed law is not a statement of truth, but the meaning of an act which prescribes something, an act of will, disconnected from reason. When they declare an invasion that is not, it is not a process of thought but an act of will, a false assertion of the privileged kind masquerading as objective truth. Their Grundnorm, that supposed basic norm underpinning their system, is a fiction, uttered with the knowledge that reality does not agree with it. It's a dream version, the version that one has a right to and that, in the frustration of this right, victimizes one again and again. Deleuze, the philosopher of perpetual movimiento, would expose their grand pronouncements as abstract, ineffective, axiomatic human rights discourse, a pure abstraction, empty when faced with the concrete situations and modes of existence of those they condemn. You invoke human rights, he would mock, what does that mean? It means, you, Turks have no right to massacre Armenians. So too, they invoke the law, but for the purpose of massacre, of deshumanization. Their totalizing spirit, their transcendent categories of judgment, are a real obstacle to the functioning of the constructive system. They are the ones tearing the essentialist democracy of coercion down, but in the guise of legal fictions. They use the deeming provision, saying an X is deemed to be a Y, a migrant deemed an invader, a family deemed a threat. This is the highly artificial structure of law, built to foreclose any opportunity for extension of justice to the marginalized. They use law's very language to misdescribe the facts, preferring judicial prevarication over judicial activism, all to produce what seems to be the right result as a matter of justice, equity, or policy when the literal or non-fictional application of an existing rule would produce injustice. But their verdad is a hollow drum. The legal falsehoods they speak are not only, on the traditional account, filling the law with falsehood, it also ensnares it in logical contradiction. They accuse others of insurrection, yet it is their own praxis that is a coup d'état, a disabling of the people through the arbitrary decrees of executive power, unbounded by norms and without spirit. Carl Schmitt, the very architect of such thought, identified legality itself as the very antithesis of legitimacy. Their value-neutral, functionalist and formal concept of law is without substance or reference points, designed to allow their political enemies to be reduced to kicking their boots against the locked door. Yet, the ancestral cartographies of the Sufriendo cannot be erased. The embodied memory of those who crossed the frontera, the generational hauntings of zoot suitors and undocumented laborers, forged new lines of flight. This is the true jurisprudence, the philosophy of law proceeding by singularities, extension of singularities. It is the invention of right, the creative modification of existing legal principles or the invention of new ones to fit particular cases. It is a becoming right that is not the same as existing forms of constitutional state. This is the forensic elegy for the shattered confianza in a system that makes law. A system of descriptive statements with truth claims. An indictment of the artifice and chicanery that twists justice into a weapon against the vulnerable. And a resurrection, a defiant shout, for the inherent creativity of a practical philosophy that hears the singular case, that works for a new capacity for action, restoring the truth of the relative that blooms from the heart of humanity, not the cold, dead letter of their fabricated loy. By Tezazoma, copyright 2025-06-11.